Call the meeting of the Postville Community School District to order. Going to call the meeting of the Postville Community School District to order again. Welcome all of our visitors. Can I get approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay.
My recommendation before you move forward is to do the expulsion.
Okay. Can we get an approval of the expulsion agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the current plan as written.
I'll second that.
A motion and second by Amy and by Greg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye. Okay. Now we can move on to approval of the agenda. Okay. Can we get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Amy, second by
I'll second it.
Greg. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Okay, anything to be removed from the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Eric, second by Larry. All in favor, say aye. All same sign. Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
I just wanted to give a good point of news. The Iowa High School Athletic Association has come back with a recommendation just for football to consider free and reduced lunch rates within determining classes for football. And if this is successful for football, that they'll look at other sports possibly. So under the math that I came up with, this would squarely put us in 8-man football next year. Is that what you're thinking?
It depends on where that cutoff ends up, but it's certainly going to put us down where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, we'll be either a very small Class A or 8-man next year if this gets approved. And we're going to start voting on Friday for this. So we'll know by next week if this is going to be a thing. I think this is really, really good for Postville. I'm really excited about it. And I talked to Kevin, our football coach, and he is really excited that this is going to really change the dynamics for our school. So, yeah, so I'll keep you informed on that vote.
I had a discussion with an individual while I was hunting, who's part of the school system in Decorah, and we had a long discussion about that. And he even said it's long overdue based on just the differences in dynamics of the different schools throughout the state. And so I'm glad that it's moving forward, and I know that Brendan and our athletic director had put forth some effort to try and approach the athletic association. So thanks for the extra efforts you guys did that go along with this.
So basically they're copying the Minnesota model. So this has been in place north of us, and it's been successful. So I'm glad that they could see that and move it to try to move forward in Iowa with that too. So.
Okay. Just a couple things building-wise. We're starting, got lots of activities going on. We got concerts. We had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade last Thursday. We got elementary concerts coming up. We got the high school concert coming up. 2 basketball games this week, wrestling, some girls wrestling. So certainly a busy time. We probably don't thank Glenn enough sometimes for all the transportation direction he's got going. And it's, as we keep thinking about, we added girls wrestling. That's another set of vehicles and buses. But it's going really well. It's nice to see those girls getting able to compete. We got some girls out for junior high. If you didn't see the Facebook post, Dulce Lopez is going to go wrestle. It's kind of a neat story. The guy that's the head wrestling coach there has officiated at some of our softball and baseball games in the summer, and really just got to know a lot of our kids and made comments about how awesome and respectful they are when he's been in at any of our games, and reached out to Mr. Corsby and said, I'm the new coach, we've got money, send me your kids. And so made the connection, and it sounds like Dulce is going to get a good opportunity to go there and wrestle. And with all these schools starting it, they're going to have a lot of kids that have maybe little experience, but they're certainly going to be excited about bringing them in. So that's awesome that our kids continue to showcase themselves. We'll have finals in the high school. Finals aren't as traditional as they normally are usually anymore. This whole idea of a all-comprehensive, massive test. I heard the other day they're thinking about getting rid of the LSAT for lawyer school. So they're seeing that this is not really proving who's going to be good at things or not, and so they're getting rid of these comprehensive tests. And so, and rightly so, we're still working on them. Some are doing finals, but we still set it up so December 20th are even period classes. December 21st are odd periods, so they're not taking back-to-back tests all in one day. With not having an early out this year, so our last 2 days will be finals. If kids are sick, we can always make those up when we get back. It's not like there's a super hard line in the ground where, nope, you're not going to get to make up your test. So we do have finals coming up. I did make note also, I was going to mention about the Iowa High School Athletic Association, and that's a really, really good opportunity. So we hope schools and like schools, there's been, Owine's been involved in it. Was it Perry? Perry has been involved in it. And so there's lots of schools like us that are having challenges getting kids to go out. And we certainly know that to build a program back up the current reality, us playing Dyersville, Beckman, us playing these other schools that don't have or don't seem the same, is not being very effective. So that's good information. And yeah, Mr. Corsby put a lot of stuff. We've been kind of making noise with them for years now, just kind of poking the athletic association and saying, when you guys going to do this? And finally they now, I think, heard enough noise so that they're going to hopefully make a change. The other thing I wanted to bring back, you had asked about our Postvillian students and their test scores. So I did go through, I had Miss Kellogg help me delineate some of that data, and pretty much the same charts, we just broke it down a little differently so that we could see that, and it did what I kind of figured it would probably do, and that was show what this did is it broke down our kids. So if you look where the square boxes are, that is the students that are not designated special ed or ESL. So these are kids that have been in our system and don't have a designation. And so this is the incoming sixth grade. And you can see that, again, numbers still aren't, but again, it's a different test, but 40% proficient in 48. If you flip it over to eighth grade, so these kids have been, now we're looking at a year, and those numbers, sorry, my handwriting, I was working on adding those. You have to add the proficient and advanced proficient together, so that's the sum of that. So 64.5, and then math was 51. Then you flip to ninth grade, and you hit 90% of our kids that are in our system not already having a challenge of English as a second language or another, a determined discrepancy like special ed, and that's 86. And then 10th grade, we're getting up now where especially ELA really did well. Math, again, that's that darn thing where our kids are in that Algebra 1, Part 1, and Part 2, so they're not on a normal trajectory. 11th grade, again, showing really pretty good numbers compared to the other scenarios when we group them all together. And then the 12th grade is still not where we want them. We did do some looking at that, and we actually looked back at the history. And one of the things we found with this group is there's only 45 in the grade, so numbers, each kid is more than 2%, and so you move 5 kids one way or the other way, and it moves these numbers drastically. We also went through there and looking at, out of that whole class, out of 45, only 14 of them have been in our system the whole time. That's a lot of transition in and out. We did some math one year, I know in the elementary, in a school year, over 100 students come in and out in just a school year. We've had kids coming in and out like crazy again this year, which has been different than since COVID. We were really stable, but we're seeing that fluctuation and that transition a lot. And so we get kids in that might be 9 weeks into the school year, and we're not sure, where they came from. Oh, I haven't been in school yet this year, and so we're seeing those transitions, and that's one of the things we saw with the 12th graders was there's a lot of kids that, that's only 14 of those have been in our system since kindergarten. So they always look back at their class composites when they go to graduate, and they're like, they don't remember, there's all these kids that they look back in kindergarten, oh, I remember that kid, and they're not here anymore. And so that transition is often pretty challenging too when we're looking at that. But it does show some things that if you're in our system and you're working in our system and you're doing what we're saying to do and you're here the whole time, there's a lot higher chance of being successful. And I know we would all agree to that. It's like bouncing around schools is really challenging for kids. But this did get us a little bit in a spot where, hey, this does make some more sense. We are doing good things. Our kids are learning, especially the ones that have been with us. So I think you requested that information, and I wanted to get that to you. So any other questions on that data? We do a lot with data in the high school, as you can tell. Sarah Kellogg's a master of all spreadsheets, and she can extrapolate. We've got, because we're looking at our programs and how they work, and we want to not just think, oh, we need to do something. We want to know what's not working and why it's not working. And I was a science teacher. She was a science teacher, so we're very data-driven individuals. We want to see the data as to why and what it makes, so we make the right decisions. So.
Thank you, Mr. Knutson. Move on to light item number 7, information discussion from Crystal Duffy with the Postville Heart and Soul.
I talk pretty loud. Hi, so I just wanted to introduce myself and have a face to match the name. For those I haven't met, I'm kind of new to the community, and I am brand new as the project manager and community developer for Heart and Soul, for Postville Heart and Soul. And I'm also the new library director at the public library. So I just wanted to sort of show up and let you know that Heart and Soul is back on track, and we're having meetings, and let you know a really quick little summary of what that process is in case it's something you're interested in talking to me about at some point or getting involved in. Basically, it's a process to try and hear from as many of our community members as possible about what they love about Postville, what they hope for the future of Postville, and what they think would help make Postville a better place. And that sounds sort of easy, but in a community like ours, hearing from everybody and having them share things with us in a way that they feel comfortable can be a little bit more complicated. So sometimes it can be surveys, sometimes it can be interviews. Obviously, it's gonna involve a lot of translation services to hear from, we wanna hear from the whole community. And so I've been doing some stuff with some demographics, and Mr. Duggar's been very helpful and super reactive when I called him and emailed him, because we look at our demographics and say, hey, we have this much of the population, but we have only talked to one person that represents that demographic, whether that's income or language spoken at home or all of those things. So you're a school board, you know about demographics. I also wanted to say, just in the short time I've been working in the community, how much I've noticed how much the school really carries a lot of weight of what's going on in Postville and the activities, and not just for the kids, but for the whole community. And I think that's really great, and I hope moving forward, when we've sort of discovered some of the things we all know, but maybe some new information through this process, that we can help come up with a plan to sort of like lighten the load a little bit that's on the school district and the city council. And yeah, so if anybody ever wants to come say hi, I'm at the library Wednesday through Sunday. I have like 5 different email addresses. The easiest one is the postvillelibrary@gmail.com. But I'm happy to talk about Heart and Soul more if anybody wants more information, and would love to at some point interview some of you too for our process. So I think that's about it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Let's see, information about purchasing policies and procedures.
All right, Mr. Duggar asked me to kind of go through what some of our processes are and procedures. And there's a whole bunch of information in the packet, and I'm hopefully you read it or will read it. The first thing is that pretty much every purchase that's made in the district requires some sort of approval during that process. And the big 3 that we use to obtain approvals are Amazon and Quill websites, and they actually have systems built in for schools that we can set up the approval process. So elementary teachers are, they go in and they submit their request for orders, and before that order is actually placed, it goes to Mrs. Schutte for approval, and the same for the high school. So Quill and Amazon have their own approval processes that we use, and they also offer significant discounts to schools as well. So the other option that we have is a purchase order system that was designed in Google Forms that has an approval process, again, depending on which administrator is your responsible party. Any other purchases pretty much go through that system, including travel requests, basically anything that is a vendor other than Quill or Amazon. So those are the 3 processes that get approvals are made through. And in the packet was an example of what is on that purchase order as well, so all the information that's collected before it's approved. Policies were included that in employee travel compensation, what's required, pre-authorization, when overnight accommodations will be allowed, meal authorizations, all those kinds of things. When they're pre-approved and they happen, then when they come back, they have 2 options for payment. They can check out a school credit card, which I'll talk about a little bit more, or they can bring back receipts and request reimbursement. And reimbursement is not made until those receipts are provided, and they have to be itemized receipts. We do have credit cards in the district that teachers and staff are allowed to check out and utilize. The documentation in the packet as well included the policies and procedures that staff are expected to review and sign off on before they check out those cards and use them, so they know what the expectations are. Again, itemized receipts, things like that, to meet the minimum or maximum requirements for what's allowed. Do you guys have any questions about those processes or procedures? Or there was also information about use of public funds and what's considered allowable expenses and things like that. So most things are pretty straightforward. If there's a question, usually it's a pre-authorization type thing, and they're either approved or not. So.
Thank you. We'll move on to Iowa Net High Academy contract.
This is something that a gentleman from Des Moines came up here in the fall to talk to us about, and I think it's a great idea. It's just an additional resource that we can use for any student, really. So it's not just one particular, but it can be used for other situations too that come up.
Is it like a annual subscription, or is it a?
I think this one's for 2 years, so we'd probably revisit it. Was it 2 years?
And it's also based on student usage and the cost per pupil. So it's not a set cost regardless. It's if you use it, then you pay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Iowa Net High Academy contract.
I'll second it.
Motion by Amy, second by Greg. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Election of officers.
All right, so this is where you pass the gavel. So I have the gavel now. So we'll take nominations for board president for the 2023 calendar year. Any nominations for president?
Nominate Travis.
Okay. Any other nominations for president? All right, we'll close nominations. So we have one person on the ballot, so we'll have a motion and a second for approval of the president of the school board for the 2023 school year. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, have a motion and a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, I'm going to pass the gavel back to our president.
You get to do the swearing in. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Board President in the Postville Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I will. Okay. Now we need nominations for Vice President. Mr. Greg Leach.
I'll move nomination cease and cast a unanimous ballot.
All approved, say aye. Nobody? Okay, okay, congratulations.
Are you ready? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of Vice President in the Postville Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I do.
Establish meeting locations, times, and dates. Is everybody happy with what we're doing?
Okay, so I just want to point one thing out. Monday, April 10th is a no-school day, but we need to have a meeting that week because the budget is due on the 15th of April. So we really do need to have that meeting at 5:30, even though it's a no-school day. So we'll be here ready to go for that meeting. Does that sound good? Okay. Do they need a motion on that? No? Okay.
Move on to appointments, board secretary, treasurer, county. Got my glasses.
You can come to a motion to approve all of the appointments if you want to discuss them as one, or you can do it in separate instances.
I would certainly entertain a motion to do all of them at once.
So moved.
It may take some discussion.
Okay? Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Yeah, all in favor of filling all the appointments at once? Say aye. Perfect. Motion carries.
I need names, though.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Okay.
Conference boards. So Travis, did you do the Winnebago County last year?
You have to live in the county, so.
Oh.
Yep. So that
Okay.
could get interesting.
Okay.
Well, Winnebago, we're gonna be out for sure.
Anybody live in Winnebago? Nobody? Okay, then we can't be on it then.
Perfect.
Fayette, we had Larry last year. No, are you in Fayette County? No. Clayton? Are you in Clayton or Fayette? Okay. So nobody in Fayette? We're out of luck here, okay? And then Al McKee. Greg? Okay, so you'll do that one then? Okay, so we have Winnebago, nobody, Fayette, nobody, Clayton, Amy, and Al McKee, Greg. Yes. All right. The legislative network, that's through the School Board Association. That's rallying the troops if needed in the legislative session. So we had Greg last year. I don't know if you did much with it, but okay. All right. Would you be okay with that again? Sure. Okay, Greg for that. All right. Then delegate assembly, that's usually at the school board convention, and we haven't gone to that for several years, but Amy, I had you down last year. Would you want to do it again? Okay. Subcommittee for audit review, Amy and Travis. Is there anybody else that want to be on the audit committee? Larry, yes? Okay. And, yeah, okay. Got you two on there. Superintendent evaluation, we had Jessica last year, but she's not on the board anymore, so Greg and one more person. Okay, Travis. Okay. Do we have to do any swearing in for those things? No, okay.
Let's see. Name an official publication for the school. It's the Postal Herald, right?
Postville Herald was the only request that made.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to make the Postal Herald the official publication.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed. Designation of legal counsel.
We've used Allers and Cooney ever since I've been here, and they've been really resourceful and responsive to what we need, so I'd recommend that we stick with Allers and Cooney.
Entertain a motion to stick with Hollers and Queen. Yep. All in favor, say aye. Perfect. Depository banks and their maximum limits.
And this is an audit function. The audit requests or requires us to, for the board to know what our limits are at each place where we deposit money. So it's just basically an audit function.
What are the depository interest returns from each institution?
I would have to look at the last statements. They've gone down drastically and started to come back up again. Typically, ISJIT carries the highest interest rate. They're moving back in that direction for a while. During 2021-22, Fidelity carried the highest interest rate, but they're swapping again.
I would encourage to look at Luena also.
I'm sorry?
I would encourage to look at Luena.
Okay, we can do that.
They've been very aggressive on deposit interest, and 1.5% on $4 million is 60 grand.
Right.
Okay, do we want to put a motion on that or have her look into Luena Bank?
I would suggest you go ahead and move forward, and then we look at Luena going forward. We can always add them at a later time, if that is acceptable.
Okay, would entertain a motion to designate the depository banks.
I'll make a motion to designate the depository banks as we had listed in our packet.
Second.
Motion McGregor, second by Eric. All in favor, say aye. Motion passes. Items for the next meeting.
So January is January 9th. It's fairly early in the month. We do have to do the at-risk dropout prevention grant for the 23-24 school year. And you'll see that once we get after the new year, we'll start preparing for the next school year, which is coming up. So yeah, this is the first step after Christmas. And right now I don't have anything else on the agenda but about that. So, but I'm sure there'll be some other things coming up.
Would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Amy, second by Larry. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Okay, motion carries. Meeting adjourned.